From Chancellor to Dictator, 1933 to 34, Podcast 6. This final podcast in a series of 6 podcasts on this topic looks at 3 typical exam questions on this period. So you have been given, if you attended the revision session on Friday, you were given a booklet that's got model answers and plans to these 3 questions. If you were not at the revision session, the booklet will be uploaded into the folder in Frog within the next 24 hours. These are the 3 questions, so we'll go through each of them. One on the Reichstag fire, one on the Enabling Act, and then the third one is an essay question that actually includes the Reichstag fire and the Enabling Act, but also much more than that. So let's take the first one. Okay, this is a 9 marker, 13 minutes, so therefore you'd have to basically plan it into paragraphs. And the question is, explain how the Reichstag fire helped Hitler increase his power. Now, where candidates tend to go wrong with this is they see the words Reichstag fire and they describe the Reichstag fire. They write an answer about Marius van der Lubbe and his can of petrol burning down the fire, burning down the building and setting fire to it. That's not what the question is asking. Okay, get that information down in the introduction, show knowledge about what the Reichstag fire was, when it happened, mention Marius van der Lubbe, get that out of your system early. The question is about what happened as a result of the Reichstag fire. Okay, so this is the approach. 3 main paragraphs. Paragraph 1 focuses on the first reason. Okay, the first reason the Reichstag fire was important. The first reason it helped Hitler increase his power is it increased his popular support because he blamed it on the communists. So in the final week of the election campaign, remember, because Hitler was able to sell this lie to the people that the Reichstag fire was a signal by the communists to launch a revolution, it massively increased Hitler's popular support, particularly amongst the middle classes, a week before the election took place on the 5th of March. Okay, so that's the first reason how it helped increase Hitler's power, because it helped that vote, that essential election vote of the 5th of March. Second reason, and it needs to be a different reason, so a separate paragraph. Because of the Reichstag fire, Hitler was able to pass the Reichstag fire decree. Now remember, try to use the full title. It was called the Decree for the Protection of People and State, and you'll remember that what it did is it gave Hitler 2 distinct powers. Okay, I won't go through the details of how it was passed again. It's signed off by President Hindenburg, but what it did is it gave Hitler 2 powers. Firstly, it gave him the power to arrest people at will, without trial. Secondly, it gave him the powers to centralise the control of policing in the hands of the government in Berlin, taking policing powers away from the 25 German states. That was a direct consequence of the Reichstag fire. Okay, the Reichstag fire decree was passed on the 28th of February, the day after the Reichstag fire. Then your third paragraph focuses on the third reason why it helped Hitler increase his power. It made the revolution legal. Hitler had learned that lesson. If you can make the point that 10 years earlier, remember, Hitler had tried to take power violently by marching on Berlin. It failed. The Munich Putsch was a disaster. Hitler learned the lesson that to become the dictator, he needed to do it within the law. And this was really the final nail in the coffin of the Weimar Republic. Hitler was able to create a dictatorship. It made him now the dictator. The Enabling Act, which was passed as a result of the Reichstag fire decree, 3 weeks after the Reichstag fire decree, really sealed what we call the legal revolution. So you can't really separate the Enabling Act from the Reichstag fire. The Enabling Act was passed as a result of the Reichstag fire decree, which was passed as a result of the Reichstag fire. All of those factors together, we call it the legal revolution. And then your conclusion, sum up and reach a judgment. So that's the first question. The second question, also a 9 marker, therefore 13 minutes, therefore break it into paragraphs. Very similar. Explain how the Enabling Act helped Hitler increase his power. Now, the Enabling Act was passed on the 24th of March 1933. So again, in your introduction, get it out of your system, show knowledge. Don't just launch into an answer about why it was important. Show the examiner in your introduction that you know what the Enabling Act was. Okay, so it was passed on the 24th of March 1933, 2/3 majority of the Reichstag. It gave Hitler the power to pass laws without going to the Reichstag or to the president. Okay, so your first main paragraph then. Why was that important? How did it help Hitler increase his power? It turned Hitler into a legal dictator. So it's the same point that you made towards the end of the previous answer that we just looked at, okay, the legal revolution. The second reason, so separate paragraph, is it showed a lot about Hitler. It showed that Hitler was prepared to use violence and intimidation to get what he wanted. Do you remember the vote? How he put the SA around the voting chamber. Hitler is now showing his true colours. We can see that effectively he is a gangster, not a normal politician. So we are now learning about Hitler, what he was like. So that's a powerful point to make. So write a paragraph making that point. The third reason, it gave Hitler the power to coordinate German life. So again, a whole paragraph on that. That really was the previous podcast. Sum up, remember the three aspects he brought under control were the trade unions, the federal states, and the other political parties, turning Germany into a one-party state. So he used the powers given to him by the Enabling Act to make himself all-powerful. And that all happened very quickly within 3 months of the passing of the Enabling Act. And then a conclusion, remember, sum up, pull those points together, reach a judgment about the most important factor. Okay, that the conclusion is important. Then the final question is an essay question. And what you're given here is a thread. You're given it mentions the Enabling Act, but it's a quote, it's a viewpoint of a historian. It says, the Enabling Act was the most important factor, helping Hitler to gain total power. Do you agree? So by saying do you agree, it's saying, well, what you need to do is say, yeah, it was one of the factors that helped Hitler gain total power, but there were other factors as well as the Enabling Act. So talk about the Enabling Act, but then move on to the other factors. So there's a model plan in the pack. So go through that. It fleshes it out with all the information that you need. As you can see, it's an 8-paragraph answer. 7-paragraph answer. So you've got your introduction, the conclusion, and you've got 5 main paragraphs in the middle. So taking a look at that plan, apologies for the mark I just made there, you can basically see the thrust of the answer. Paragraph 1, you basically say, the first main paragraph, you are agreeing with it. You're saying, yes, it was an important factor, and you develop the reasons about how he was able to, how it gave Hitler the powers to pass laws by himself. But what you then do in paragraphs 3, 4, 5 and 6 is you look at the other reasons. You say there were other factors that helped make Hitler all-powerful. So in paragraph 3 you talk about how the Reichstag fire decree, because it gave him the powers to arrest people and it centralised policing in the hands of the government in Berlin. And then in paragraphs 4, 5 and 6 you move into the longer term reasons. So paragraph 4 you focus in on the Night of the Long Knives. You say, well, Hitler was not all powerful until he dealt with the problem of the SA, and that by doing that, of course, he was able to become president and Führer, and he was able to capture the army with that oath of loyalty. And then paragraph 5 you move into other factors. You look at the apparatus of terror. Now, we haven't covered that yet in the revision sessions. We've touched upon it, but we'll be doing that in the revision session next Friday when we look at government and opposition. But in effect, that is about the SS. It's about the concentration camps. It's about the power of the police to arrest people at will. So that you would write a paragraph on that. And then another important thing about gaining total power. It wasn't just about terrorising people and about having the power to arrest opponents. The reason Hitler was all-powerful was because he was incredibly popular. So it's really important to write a paragraph in this question focusing on Hitler's genuine popularity, in particular because he was able to crush communism and he was able to create national unity. Remember, Hitler was enormously popular at first, for the first few years. Even in Britain, the British admired Hitler. The awful crimes that he committed happened later. And so his popularity was quite astonishing in these early years, and that was an important reason that he was all-powerful. So you need to develop that point as well. That concludes this podcast. I hope you have found that useful. This is the sixth of a series of 5 podcasts. They're all there for you to review at any time. Thank you.